Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. And today I have a little card for you. It's a very simple, fast, easy little card. And I was challenged in my team to do a swap this month that dealt with the in colors. And so this is the design I came up with, and I thought I'd share it with you. Let's just get started. Okay, here is my card design, and I've used the Just Jade, and I've used the, what's it called? Bumblebee on this one. And the card we're going to make today, we're going to change up the colors one more time, and I'm going to use the Misty Moonlight. And this is what the inside of the card does. And I really decided that I hadn't played with the ornate garden suite. And so this flower is from the ornate style. It's this little flower right here. I thought that was kind of a cute, and it fit perfectly in the space that I wanted to put the flower in today. So that's the flower I'm using. And then I'm using the Ornate Frames dies. I'm using this very large ornate die to put on this paper. And this is paper from the In Colors Designer Series paper pack that comes in each of the color families. And so I used the jade, and I colored all of the leaves in jade, and then I used Magenta Madness Magenta Madness to color my flower, and Bumblebee for the center of the flower. And then I put these pieces on this paper, and then used a couple of these dies. So the dies that I used are this very large one to cut out this paper for my outside layer. Then I used this little die to cut out a piece of paper using a scrap of Just Jade to cut out my little frame here. Then I cut out a piece of white for behind it, and then stamp my flower, and I'll show you all of that as we go along. The other stamp that I used, or die that I used from this die set, is one that goes right here, and at the moment it has disappeared from my table. I have no idea where it went, and I have pulled things apart. I'll find it eventually. But what I did was I used that on the inside of the card so that the color behind it would peek out, and it's got that same ornate kind of frame to it. It's a different one, and it just provides a little interesting pattern on the inside of that one. This one would do that same thing. It's a little stubbier. Boy, that's stuck on there. And a little shorter, but you would get that same look if you used this one, just a shorter die. But I thought that was kind of pretty, and so that's what I did. And then my congratulations, I just fell in love with this one. I ordered this stamp set because I now have a grandchild, and it's a grandkid and says grandson and granddaughter on it, and we weren't sure at the time. But look at this congratulations. Isn't that just festive? So I used this congratulations, and I stamped it in Versamark, and then used my white embossing powder to put my congratulations on the card. All right, so what we need to make this card is I'm using a Whisper White base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. And in this case, I have cut out my blue Designer Series paper to go on the front of my card here. This one I've already run through my die machine, and that's going to go here and go on the inside of my card. Now this piece, you just need one of the 6x6 squares to cut this out. Then this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. This piece is 3 3/4 by 5. Then die cutting this piece. This piece is 2 1/8 by 3 1/2. This piece is 1 1/8 by 2 1/2. And then you just need a piece big enough to cut this out. So you need a piece that's roughly 2 1/2 by about 3 3/4 in order to cut this out. So I have mounted my flower from the ornate style, and I've got my memento ink. So we're going to start with the stamping. So we've got just a bit of stamping to do here, and I'm going to ink up my flower, and I just used black to get the image. And then this is a red rubber, so you don't need a pad underneath it. And centering that over the top of that little piece of paper. Now you sure could stamp this on a larger piece of paper and then cut this down. That would work easily as well. All right, I can see that that's a very juicy ink pad, so we're going to give that a second to dry. And while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put my congratulations message on this one. So we're going to use an embossing buddy here to come across the bottom of the card and get rid of static and fingerprints and things like that. And then I'm going to take my Versamark ink and my congratulations stamp, and we'll ink that up and put that in place right here along the bottom edge of this piece of DSP. And there we go. Now I have my white embossing powder ready to go, and we're just going to put a little embossing powder along the bottom of that card there, and I will quiet the video while I heat set my congratulations. All right, so there's my congratulations heat set with the white. And what we're going to do, let's see if this is dry. It looks like it is. What I did was I used the Magenta Madness ink and the Just Jade ink, and I used my blender pen. So I'll need a little piece of scratch paper here. And what I'm going to do is just take this Magenta Madness and I'm going to color in these leaves. Now you could use your marker, but the one thing about a blender pen is it won't leave any streaks. And so you can do it either way. My blender pen was sitting on my desk when I started this, so that's what I've been using. And it puts the color down very efficiently, and it doesn't bleed through the back. So this is safe to use on the inside of a card if you're doing single layer. Now I'm going to clean my blender pen here. Even though my blender pen is going to stay stained, because that's the stain always sticks from the reds, it seems like. And I just keep moving my blender pen around on this piece of scratch paper until I'm getting no color out of it. Then I'll put this into the Just Jade and do my leaf. And if you use your blender pens a lot, they get real dark and stained, but they work beautifully over and over and over again. It's an inexpensive way to use your inks and get color down. And the thing I like about it, it has a nice fine point. So I can just drag it along this stem and get that color in there. And then again, just being careful to wipe it off, and then that's ready to go for the next project. Now I'm going to put some snail down on the back of my flower. This is the new tape runner from Stampin' Up, and I just love it, and it comes with more tape on it than the average tape runner. And it's really sticky, and it's, once you learn how to use it, it's pretty easy. And I'll demonstrate that again here in a second about how to use it so that it doesn't give you any trouble. So I'm going to set my flower down here, and it just fits in this space with just the hint of a margin around the sides. Here we go. Very good. Then this piece is going to layer on here. Now, generally speaking, I use my dot runner when there's open filigree, and I'm going to continue to do that even with this new tape runner. I'll experiment around with it sometime later when I have the opportunity to see if I can use it as successfully. I keep finding little pieces. These dies cut beautifully, but you do have to watch. There's lots and lots and lots of little pieces that need to come out, and I could swear I looked at this 4 times and saw them all come out, but not so much. Okay, so I'm going to set this down here. Violated my own rule, and I'll show you here in a second. And we're going to take this and center it on this little piece of paper, and it just fits. Then I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this piece. Now I'm going to set this piece down on the front of my card here, and I've demonstrated this a couple times, and I'll do it a couple more just because I know not everybody watches all of the videos, but this fits nicely in your hand. And this part here, if you start and get your tape pulled to the front of the tape runner here, then you can grab the tape, pull it straight down, and when you get to the end, if you pick it up straight perpendicular and check off, what happens is it drags that next piece of tape right up to the edge of the tape runner, and then it's a piece of cake to grab. You just have to get in the habit of remembering to stand it up and check off. And this one, I'm putting quite a bit of tape. This is very sticky tape, and what I found is that in most cases, putting a small stripe in each corner and a piece in the middle, if there's any chance that you might have to reposition it, that's what I would suggest, because this stuff is really sticky. But I like it a lot. Okay, so we're going to set this down, and you'll see it has a smaller bit of margin top to bottom than it does from side to side, but I think that's a good trade-off for how pretty the filigree is that goes around it. So this piece is now all ready to go right here on the front of our card over the congratulations and raised just a bit. Now then, I've made several versions of the cards, and I'll bring them out in a while and show you when I put the ribbon on here. And I'm going to use the Misty Moonlight ribbon. So what I'm going to do is just tie a simple little bow for the front. This ribbon ties just beautifully. It is, what are they calling it? Just in color ribbon. Misty Moonlight doesn't say, oh, it's polyester. That's what I was trying to figure out. And it does tie just beautifully. And I don't want a very big bow. Something about like that. And then I'm going to cut my tails off. And use a glue dot. You know what would go well? I think that denim ribbon would go well on this as well. Okay, and I'm just putting that ribbon right down here at the bottom of my flower. And then the embellishments for this, what I decided was that I was using, for this, I think I was using just rhinestones, because I thought that the white or the blue went better with just the plain rhinestones than it did for some of the others. I was using the champagne rhinestones. Okay, so what I was doing is putting one of the large rhinestones. Now I didn't color this one in. I'm going to just put one of those giant rhinestones on there, and then little rhinestones here in the center of these 4 little flowers on the corner. And you'll see on some of the others I used different things, and I'll show you what I used, and we'll take a look at those in just a second. But there is the majority of the front of my card now complete. Now for the inside, all we really have to do is put these 2 pieces together, and use my dot runner over areas where there's intricate lace. And then this is what I was telling you about. This, I don't think you need much more than just a little bit of tape in the corners and one in the center. This stuff is, like I said, very, very sticky. So I'm going to set that down here, get my margin set, and then we're going to set this one down on the inside of our card. You can see how much glue I'm putting down on this, and honestly I think that's plenty to hold this. And if I did have put it down crooked and had to pick it back up again, it's possible. Okay, there we go. So that is the blue card. So let me bring in some of the other versions. And what I did was, in that package of ribbon that we have that has, it's for the Flowers for Every Season package, there is this beautiful twine that has silver and white, and then this Misty Moonlight, and then there's the Misty Moonlight ribbon. So I used that one on there, but I tripled up this this twine, and I put a triple bow of this twine. Isn't that pretty? And then put the rhinestones, and it picked up the sparkle in the ribbon. So I think that one is pretty, a little bit different. Then on this one, I used that gingham check ribbon that is in, it's a 3-pack of ribbon that comes together. And so I used the gingham in the Just Jade for this one. And then on this green one, I used the Just Jade ribbon. And on the bumblebee ones, I ended up using just the bumblebee because I couldn't find anything that was an alternative. But that is the card for today. That is my project. I think they're just as cute as they can be. And like I said, simple, fast. You can get an assembly line running, do all of your die cutting, cut all of your little pieces, do all of your stamping, and then spend a few minutes putting them all together. It goes pretty fast. So that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, and or you could join my team. Joining Stampin' Up! Is always a good deal. $125 worth of product for $99, and you start out with a 20% discount on your product. So if you're curious at all, my telephone number and my email and my website, my blog, are all listed below the video. Contact me anytime if you're curious and would like to chat about it. I'd love to talk to you. So thanks again. Let's see. Bonus days. For every $50 you spend in July, you will get a $5 coupon from Stampin' Up!, which you need to save. They don't keep track of them, so you really need to be careful and put those where you know they're going to be. And then you can redeem those in August. And in August is when we'll have the new catalog out for the holiday period that's going to take us from August all the way through year end. So would be a good time to have a few coupons to maybe get some of that treasure that's coming out in the next catalog. Let's see, my price for the month is the Birds and Branches bundle. And all you have to do to put yourself in my drawing is put an order of any size on my website, lbedinger.stampinup.net, or you can get to it through my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!